All right, so that's 2 coats over the main area there with just a little blend right in this area where we had already ended our original blend on the main layer. So you can already see everything looks blended really well so far. We're gonna put All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm back in the booth. I wanted to show you guys something, give you all a little bit of information. Something I don't think I've ever really covered before, but that is color blender, also known as intercoat clear, what we call a wet bed. It goes by several different names. What it really is just transparent base coat. Now in this scenario here today, I have one of the infamous WA800J white diamond tri-coat jobs. This is on a 2016 Avalanche. We've got a repair on the back corner here. For those of you not familiar, that does have primer on it. It is UV primer. UV primer is rather transparent. So we do put some sealer on top of that. So I've got a little bit of white sealer mixed up, some MP171. That we're going to put down there. We're just going to do this job in Omni. I have painted parts of this truck years ago when I had the ability to actually mix and tint whatever variant I needed to get the good color match. But in this case, we're doing what I would just call a blind blend. I've ordered the base coat, ordered the mid coat, just what we consider the prime formula or standard formula for that in PPG Omni Plus. So we're going to do a pretty complicated, not complicated, but we're going to do a pretty extensive type of blend here, so I can really show you how to use that color blender really well. I don't think we're going to end up matching the tailgate right there, but it is just that little tiny strip. But what we can do is we can blend this on out so that hopefully it's not even recognizable that we repaired anything. Plus, you get to understand the principle between a wet bed, color blender, and how to use that. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to finish wiping this thing down. We'll get it tacked off, cleaned up, ready to go. I've already wet the floor down to keep any dust and debris down. And then we'll go right into putting our sealer on, so that can be drying while we mix up everything else. All right, so something I want to point out, you'll notice when I'm spraying the sealer on, what I do is I put a light coat on first. That's because white sealer never really covers very well. So by adding that first light coat, then I'll sit back and wait about 3 minutes or so, and then I come back and put down one full coat. And that way it actually covers really, really well. You'll notice there's not any kind of see-through spots or anything anywhere. You can tell where there was kind of looked like a bare metal cut through back there, even though it was covered up with that UV primer. But it just makes it cover very well, especially when you've got a brand new part and it's black E-coat or a black bumper, and you need to put white sealer down. You can spray a light coat on, sit back, let it flash off a little bit, and then come back and put a full coat on, and it will cover so much better. Or you can throw, if you have the ability, you can throw a tiny bit of gray sealer in with the white and actually just make it a really, really light gray. It'll also cover better, but typically if you're sealing something white, it's because it's going to get painted white. So I find that doing the light coat first and then doing a full coat afterwards works much better. Now you'll also notice after I sprayed that full coat, I went back, I grabbed my little cheap gun I keep in the booth. It's got a little bit of a hotter reducer than what I'm using in the base coat. And what I'm doing with that is spraying it over top of the overspray. That way it melts that overspray down, gives me a nice smooth transition. So we don't have any rough spray there. It's something that's gonna cause our metallics or our clear coat to look weird in the end. All right, so we're now ready to put down our wet bed. You can see in the gun here, I have just a clear color blender. This is the Omni M199. All this is clear base coat. It is base coat with no pigment in it. Doesn't matter whether we're talking about waterborne or solvent system, it is just base coat with no pigment. Now it goes by many, many names, as I said before. It's called Color Blender, Intercoat Clear. Some people call it a candy carrier. It's the same thing that we use when we mix our candy dye into Intercoat Clear or candy carrier. We're just mixing that dye into a base coat and turning it into our color coat that we can spray on top of everything. So it goes by many different names. In this scenario, we're going to use this as a wet bed, so I'm going to put down one full coat over top of the entire panel. And what this will do it'll allow any future overspray to be able to almost kind of melt into the surface, because when you have clear coat that's sanded, clear coat is a hard cured product. So when you sand it and you have overspray from base coat landing on top of it, it just simply lays on top of it. It doesn't have the ability to kind of melt in and bond real well. And by doing the full wet coat of the wet bed, you're essentially laying one full coat of base coat over the entire panel. So your future overspray and your progressively on your next coats will have an opportunity to kind of melt in and adhere a bit better. It also keeps from having that overspray or your blend kind of stand out so much. It helps it kind of lay down and blend in. So. All right, so with the wet bed down, you can see this thing has the same sheen over the entire panel now, which is another great benefit to using a wet bed. It helps you see how your blend is going, make sure you have the right color, make sure everything is blending out properly. Now we're ready for our main layer of our tri-coat, which consists of basically a solid white. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we'll start off, we're going to get some coverage over top of the sealer, and then we're going to blend one coat of that main layer on out, make sure we have good coverage and just a little blend as if we were, as if this whole panel was going to be white. We're just going to blend this out a little bit. And then we're going to come back and we're going to take advantage of that color blender that we already mixed up and used as the wet bed. All right, so we got two coverage coats of our main layer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a little bit more of a blend. You can see here I've kind of stopped right along through this area. But what I'm going to do is bring this up a little higher. So in the gun here, I know it doesn't look this way, but what I've mixed up is I've taken my color blender, my wet bed that I already had made up, and I took the main layer color, the solid white. What I've done, I've mixed those two together 1-to-1. Since they're already reduced, don't have to do anything to them. Just 1-to-1 mix between the white and the color blender. And now we're going to go a little bit higher up with that blend and just make one more blending pass. All right, then we're gonna do it one more time. I broke that color down again with another part of the color blender. We're gonna do one more extended blend. All right, so look at that blend there, where we have blended out our main layer, which is our solid color, and then all it essentially does is transition into a metallic. But the actual color itself looks really good. And like I said before, that main layer is usually what I've always found really screws up a tri-coat, whether it's gonna match or not. So now that that's all done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through, we've got the mid coat mixed up. The mid coat is essentially just a mixed version of the color blender. It's a transparent layer. All it has is pearls. In some cases it has a little bit of pigment to it, but it's just a translucent layer. We're gonna spray that over top. It usually takes 3 coats on top of your main layer to get, you know, essentially the color achieved. Sometimes it can take more. But what we're going to do is we're going to start down here where we originally did. We're going to work 1 coat all the way up. You can see I put some Sharpie marks just so y'all can kind of see a little better where that blend starts or ends and such. But we're going to put 3 coats coming back through here, and we're just going to work in this area to kind of blend it out between around a 3 to 4 coat scenario. And then we'll step back and we'll take a look and see how well it all blends together. All right, so that's 2 coats over the main area there with just a little blend right in this area where we had already ended our original blend on the main layer. So you can already see everything looks blended really well so far. We're going to put 1 more coat on everything, but this time around we're going to come on out right around to the midway of the wheel well here. And then we'll go back with the light, we'll double check it, make sure our metallics look okay, make sure we got good covers and everything, and just make sure it looks great before we put clear coat on it. All right, now that coat's dried out, everything's looking pretty good. Color blended out real well. Let's see what it looks like with the lights off. everything still looks pretty good. Yep. All right, after a couple coats clear, let's see what we got. I think that's a pretty flawless blend right there. I'd almost say that color actually matches. We'll have to wait till I get through baking it before we untape it. We'll check it. I did spray a spray out card. Make sure you spray a spray out card. It's always good to have references for everything. So after I bake this thing, we'll do a comparison. At the very end, I'll compare that card to, we'll see how well it looks against the tailgate and up there a little closer by the rear door. Something I wanted to mention though, now you saw me do this the way I did it with a regular, just clear color blender. Another method you can do is actually take that mid coat and do the exact same thing. So once I had coverage on the panel, and I was ready to start blending my main layer out, I could just take my mid coat, do a 1-to-1 mix, and use that to blend out a little bit. It's a little trickier. I kind of feel like the color really needs to be spot on to be able to blend it like that. I prefer doing it with the clear blender, get my main layer blended out individually without trying to combine the two, but that is another method that you can use. You know, especially though if the mid coat has maybe a lot of pigment to it, I wouldn't try that. But if your mid coat is just primarily pearl, it works pretty good to be able to kind of blend that main layer out and kind of help transition into that mid coat layer, that pearl layer. So just one thing I wanted to point out to you before I let you go on this. Like I say, we'll check color match at the very end. I'm gonna get this thing baked. But hopefully you learned a little something. If you did, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and tap that bell, and I'll catch you on the next one. Already got this thing unmasked. I've got the spray out card. Let's see what it looks like. So yeah, it's definitely off. But as you can see, thing is blended out nicely. You can't even tell it was done. You can barely tell down here at the tailgate. Outside, I bet you won't even be able to notice it.